A long time ago, there lived a brave king named Odysseus, ruler of the splendid island of Ithaca. One day, he rushed home at full speed, just in time to assist his wife, the noble Penelope, who was about to give birth. Their joy was immense when a son came into the world. They named him Telemachus. Odysseus was overwhelmed with happiness, but this moment of peace was short-lived. Soon after, two powerful kings, Agamemnon and Menelaus, came to Ithaca to beg him to join a great military expedition against a formidable city, Troy. Thus, despite his desire to remain with his family, Odysseus had to leave Penelope and their newborn son to embark on a dangerous journey to a distant land. Before his departure, his mother Anticlea asked him to leave his bow to Telemachus, an inheritance that would one day define his destiny. Odysseus also sought the advice of the goddess Athena. She listened kindly but told him she could not divert the shadow of war. She simply wished that he would earn the glory reserved for heroes whose memory never fades. With a heavy heart, Odysseus boarded his ship, surrounded by his most loyal companions, Polites, a warrior of remarkable strength, and Eurylochus, considered one of the greatest blacksmiths in Greece. They sailed for a long time across uncertain seas, and every night, beneath the starry sky, they shared stories and hopes, dreaming of Troy's impressive walls, so gigantic they seemed to pierce the clouds. Yet Odysseus remained troubled. It was then that Athena appeared to him once more to remind him that, even if the dangers were countless, he possessed the spirit of a true hero. His men remained devoted to him not only out of duty, but because they deeply trusted him. After many days at sea, the Greek army finally reached the shores of Troy, unaware that this war would become one of the most famous in all antiquity. The conflict had lasted a long time. Heroes were falling one after another, and the gods, from their seats on Olympus, watched the battles without clearly revealing whom they supported. Amid this chaos, the noble Hector, the bravest of the Trojans, challenged the fearsome Achilles, considered invincible. Hector fought with honor, but Achilles, faster and stronger, defeated him with ease. In a cruel gesture, he tied Hector's body to his chariot and dragged it around the walls, displaying his victory to the entire city. While Greeks and Trojans slaughtered one another, Penelope, still in Ithaca, lived in constant waiting. 7 years had passed, and she had received no news of Odysseus. She continued to hope, even as the Greek forces weakened. Victory seemed to drift farther away each day. Renowned for his intelligence, Odysseus then conceived a bold plan. He had a gigantic wooden horse built, inside which the bravest warriors hid. Deceived by this false gift, the Trojans brought the statue into the heart of their city and celebrated their supposed victory. At nightfall, the Greeks quietly emerged from the horse, opened the gates, and allowed their army to invade the sleeping city. Thanks to this brilliant trick, Troy fell. Odysseus, intoxicated by triumph, let pride overwhelm him. He claimed all the credit, unaware that Poseidon himself had secretly helped the Greeks by killing the Trojan priest who had discovered the ruse. Offended by Odysseus's arrogance, Poseidon cast a terrible curse. His journey home would be chaotic, long, and filled with peril. In Ithaca, Telemachus grew under the caring eye of Penelope and the strict guidance of his grandmother Anticlea, who silently feared her son had died far from home. During the return voyage, Poseidon's anger manifested. A thick fog trapped Odysseus on the open sea, separating him from the rest of the Greek fleet. After drifting for days, one sailor finally spotted an island. Starving and exhausted, they went ashore and discovered a vast cave filled with food. But everything inside seemed to belong to a gigantic creature. They had no time to think. The master of the place arrived. It was Polyphemus, a monstrous Cyclops and son of Poseidon. Furious to find them there, he grabbed one of the men and devoured him before their eyes. Odysseus then devised a clever strategy. He offered wine to the Cyclops, who quickly became drunk. When asked his name, Odysseus answered, "Nobody." Once the giant was asleep, the Greeks burned his eye with a heavy stake. Blinded, Polyphemus opened the entrance, allowing Odysseus's men to escape. But as they sailed away, Odysseus made a grave mistake. He revealed his true name to the Cyclops. Mad with rage, Polyphemus called upon Poseidon to punish him. The sea then became their enemy. The sailors wandered for a long time before reaching the island of Aeolus, the master of the winds. Moved by Odysseus's intelligence, Aeolus offered him a bag containing all the winds except the one that would guide them home. If they did not open it, they would reach Ithaca in 9 days. But curiosity and distrust overcame the crew. They opened the bag while Odysseus slept, unleashing a terrible storm that pushed them back to the ends of the world. Starving and exhausted, they later landed on a strange island. There, the men were transformed into animals by the sorceress Circe. Only Eurylochus escaped and warned Odysseus. On his way, Odysseus met Hermes, who gave him a magical herb, moly, to counter Circe's spells. With it, Odysseus resisted her enchantments. Impressed, Circe freed his men and welcomed the group into her palace. However, time flowed differently in this world. What seemed like 5 days to Odysseus was actually 5 years. When he realized this, he was devastated. He left the island with a heavy heart, aware that he had lost countless days. Meanwhile, in Ithaca, the suitors invaded Odysseus's home, convinced he would never return. Penelope, loyal as ever, resisted them by weaving and unraveling a shroud each night to gain time. After further trials, Odysseus reached the island of the Phaeacians. King Alcinous recognized the nobility of the hero and helped him return home. Finally, in Ithaca, Odysseus went to the hut of Eumaeus, his faithful swineherd. Shortly after, Telemachus, who had returned from Sparta, found his father without immediately recognizing him, for Athena had transformed him into an old man. The hour of vengeance approached. Disguised as a beggar, Odysseus studied his enemies and waited for the opportune moment. With the help of Athena, Telemachus, and a few loyal supporters, he eliminated all the suitors who had defiled his home. Penelope, still cautious, put him to the test before finally recognizing her true husband. Thus, 20 years after his departure, Odysseus recovered his family, his throne, and his peace. His Odyssey, marked by suffering, magic, battles, and glory, had finally come to an end.